Welcome to We Wine Whenever. Grab your glass and join three Jersey Shore housewives, Wendy, Kelly, and Lori, as they dive into everything from Bravo drama to life's everyday chaos. It's unfiltered, it's hilarious, and it's the real talk you've been waiting for, from relationship to pop culture. We drink wine whenever, and we hope you do too. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Cheers!
Hi, welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Lori.
And tonight we're talking about The Valley, Season 3, Reunion, Part 3. And thank you, Jesus, it is over. I, other than the last season of Real Housewives of New Jersey, have not wished a season away like I have with this one.
I haven't, well, I'm not some seasoned housewife watcher, but I thought that was the most horrible reunion. I thought Andy was absolutely horrid. And I was like, okay, now I know I don't like reality TV.
Sorry. And we're just going to jump to this because it's absolute garbage bullshit. How many people here thought Janet was wrong for throwing the solo cup? Everybody should have had their fucking hands up, including Janet. Janet, you were wrong.
Never a good idea.
You threw an item at someone's head. I don't care who it was, what he's done. He didn't do anything to you to warrant that behavior. And Andy Cohen, epic failure for not holding her feet to the fire for that. Compared to how he was treating Danny. Listen, I'm just going to say, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. There's a reason Andy Cohen doesn't like Danny and Nia.
Absolutely.
There's a reason. Now. So you guys
and
can all
I didn't take a lot of notes because I was just so stupefied watching it that but what I did write down is, how can these people work together? They truly do not like each other. Like, seriously.
Totally agree.
Do not like each other. And
it's going to
and it's because things have been allowed.
Thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
going to turn into a team thing, just
it
like
already
Real
is.
Housewives of New Jersey.
Right.
Did.
One
Teresa
couch and one
Melissa.
couch.
Yep.
Right. One couch and one couch.
It's already there. It's ridiculous. You brought Lala in because here's the thing. Janet and Jason seem to think that the viewers don't like Janet because she's said things about Danny and Nia, and the viewers love Danny and Nia. I'll be honest with you. I see mixed emotion towards Danny and Nia on social media. I don't think everybody loves Danny and Nia. I happen to think that Danny is a nice, decent person. He should not drink. He has a very unhealthy relationship with alcohol. He should not drink. For this, but as far as them as a married couple, they're Christians and they believe a certain way. And Nia is okay with working on things with Danny when things like that happen. I respect that. But I see a lot of negative things on social media about Nia and Danny. So I don't think the viewers dislike Janet. Viewers dislike Janet from season 1. And the whole Danny and Nia thing hadn't even come up yet. Janet is an unlikable person on reality TV.
Right. And the thing is, what people don't like is a pile-on. That's
right. So now they bring in Lala to kind of,
and she gave no story.
The nail in farther, and she did the polar opposite.
She had no story.
She had no story.
And I'm watching it, and I'm thinking to Andy, okay, Andy, who's running this reunion here?
That's right.
Because you certainly never said, you know what, Lala, just pipe down for a second and let somebody else get a full answer out.
Yep. Nope. Never.
And
no.
The biggest thing of this reunion is that on Bravo, Andy asks Danny, were you drinking at Jasmine's wedding? And he says no. You watch it on Peacock? He says yes.
Yeah, because
yes,
I watched it on Peacock.
And on Bravo, they put in that they said no.
Yeah, because I thought he did say yes, he was drinking at the wedding. Yeah. Well, let's get into it. So what happened at Jasmine's wedding? The big cliffhanger from Reunion Part 2? Nothing. Brittany says, I didn't see anything, but Zach told me something happened at the wedding and Jesse was going to bring it up. Nothing happened. Schwartzy says it was at the after party. And Zach says, I heard Nia told Jesse, don't tell Danny there's an after party. Nia says, I said, Daniel and I are staying at the hotel, so please don't encourage him to come to the after party. When there's an open bar from 5 to 6 hours for a wedding, why do we even need an after party? I know this is a new thing for the youngins.
I'm tired thinking about it.
Listen, we're always invited to the after party because if you're invited to the wedding, you're invited to the after party. You know Eric. Eric's never going to an after party. Eric doesn't even want to go to the initial party. Never mind an after party.
Right.
I'm not saying he doesn't want to go to our nieces and nephews' weddings. Of course he does. And my stepbrothers. But an after party, those two words do not go together for my husband.
Yeah.
So Jesse says Nia called him and asked him to bring Danny up to the room. So he went downstairs and that he had no shoes on, a tank top, and he was watching the game having a drink. He wasn't super receptive to Jesse asking him to leave. Now, so here's the thing. Nia and Danny leave the wedding. Clearly, so did Jesse and Lacy. Or maybe Jesse and Lacy went to the after party and were back at the hotel by now. Either way, Nia's up in the room, probably with the baby, because that's what she does. Danny's downstairs at the hotel bar. Jesse goes down to get him. Danny doesn't want to leave. This is what happens when you drink. I'm the same way. He wasn't super receptive, but Jesse says, I pulled him out of situations before, and this is agreement Danny and I made with each other at the beginning of season 2. When I see him going a little too heavy with the drinking, I try to rein it in. When he sees me getting triggered by Michelle, he tries to rein me in. I think that that's a very nice friendship right there. You always have somebody looking after you, and it doesn't have to be your significant other. So nothing happened at Jasmine's wedding. So Brittany, shut the fuck up. Because you didn't see it, you didn't know, so you shouldn't have said anything.
Well, the biggest thing is, okay, so yeah, it's all about Danny's drinking, but what's he doing? He said, I watched it back. I was appalled at myself. I'm getting help. We're blah, blah, blah. I have someone helping me with it. I admit, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there you go.
It's so interesting to me how people are reacting to Danny. The same people who didn't react to Jax. I always knew Jax was a piece of shit. The same people who didn't react to Jax. Meanwhile, he's physically abusing his wife, Jax. And
now,
everybody on this cast was hiding that, including Brittany.
Right. And I want to ask, if Janet was so triggered by Danny, how come she wasn't triggered by Zach?
I said the same thing. And viewers and comments on our posts, it's the magic question. Because she's full of shit, basically. I gotta stop cursing so much. So at this point, Lacy breaks it down perfectly. She kind of stops Jesse and she says, listen, I think what the ladies are looking for is accountability. She basically tells Danny, instead of making excuses, just say I act like a jerk when I drink too much. The accountability will go farther than the projecting. And listen,
right. And he
like
does. He did make excuses. He did. But that's what alcoholics do. He's early in his journey. He's not where you are, Lala.
I agree.
So why would you expect him to be?
He was definitely making excuses. It's not a good look. I personally believe that Danny will at some point stop drinking altogether. It's probably going to take him a while. And hopefully their marriage does survive it. I don't think it makes him a monster, though. I know a lot of people who have substance use issues. I love them no matter what. Like, it's a problem. And I'm not saying Danny's fully there. I'm just saying having any kind of unhealthy relationship with any substance doesn't make you a monster or a horrible person. If he could wake up the next morning and look at his wife and feel bad and apologize, that's up to her to accept it or not. It's not up to us to judge her accepting it or not. And it's certainly not up to Lala.
Right.
who wouldn't know, who's never had a normal relationship with a man. And I feel bad for her for that. But that's not
Right.
Danny and Nia's fault.
Right. And, Janet said, it makes my hair stand up the back of my neck. Well, if someone was going to, I'd say Danny's like a goofball. He's a little handsy. He can be like a dick sometimes. He drinks a lot. But unless there's things that I don't see on the TV, he doesn't give me that kind of creep factor. And I'm not saying whether Janet's experience was real or not, but I will say that when you do have that kind of experience, your creep monitor goes off quickly. There's a lot of antennae out there, and but I feel like with Danny, her thing with Danny is misplaced. So I'm not saying what happened to her didn't happen to her, but I feel like it's just misplaced. Like it's
Yeah. And again, it makes you wonder why Danny makes the hair on the back of her neck stand up, but Jax didn't.
That's what I'm saying. But
it makes you
I'm
wonder.
saying it's especially if what she says is true. I think that she's just, for some reason, Danny was a trigger, but it has nothing to do with Danny. Like maybe she's at some point where just things are coming to a head for her, whatever, and he's just the unfortunate person that does one or two things that just make her spiral.
Right.
I don't know.
Zach says a big part of the reason we can't move on is because there's the thing that happened last year, and I'm assuming he's talking about Janet saying that Danny was, Danny essayed Jasmine, and then a bunch of other things, and he's trying to explain himself without saying the thing, and Lala's like, you're speaking in code. And she says it's a red flag that Nia would tell Jesse not to text Danny to invite him to the after party. First of all, and Kristen's like, I would tell somebody, don't you dare tell Luke about. Listen, again, I know a lot of people who have been in relationships where, if their partner has one too many, they might not be the ideal person to be around. And you want to get them out of that situation as discreetly as possible. And again, it doesn't make this person a monster. It means they drank too much. And as their partner, you're trying to avoid this turning into something worse. Now, I understand Lala saying it's a red flag, but I don't think you wish a marriage to end over something like this. I don't think you say to that person, I want you to take your babies and leave him. Lala might be very comfortable being alone with her children. I mean, for her second child, she went and got a sperm donor because she doesn't want to co-parent with somebody. I get it. I get it. Because I told you, her Randall is, a Harvey Weinstein 2.0. So anyway, Kristen tries to step in and Andy shuts her down. So it's very clear that Andy is fully on board with the Danny Nia takedown.
Clear as day.
Yeah. And Nia basically says we're a married couple. And if I want my husband to stay back at the hotel with me, oh, well. And she's absolutely right. And listen, she did say Danny and I were going to spend the night at the hotel. It doesn't mean she told him don't go down to the hotel bar. Like she wanted to go back to the room. So if having Danny there and having him downstairs at the hotel bar, as opposed to wherever the after party was, if that made her feel more comfortable, okay. And guess what? That's what Danny did. Danny, of course, knew there was an after party. If you get the wedding invitation, you get the invitation to the after party. Everybody has a fucking website for their wedding now.
Right, with all
the details on it.
Right. And did you catch that Lacy did the hand thing again?
No, again?
Again.
What's with her?
I don't know. She takes his hand, she puts it where she wants it, she moves it around, and it's just, I'm going to get it. It's just funny.
Andy asks Danny if anyone there owes him an apology, and Nia immediately says no. And he says, I'm sorry, but yes, Janet. And Nia says, it's never going to happen, so forget it. Danny says Jason even pulled him aside in San Diego and said, I owe you an apology and we'll do it on camera, which I find very interesting that Jason said that because, and Jason didn't deny it. So he definitely said it. Jason tries to come off as this guy who doesn't care about being on the show, right? He's just there to support his wife. Meanwhile, he's the one that said, I owe you an apology and I'll do it on camera. But then Jason says, well, later that night, you were being a drunk idiot at the table. And they flash back to Danny being a drunk idiot.
Mm-hmm.
So Jason changed his mind. Good for Jason.
Right.
That's fine. Good for Jason. Danny said 4 people in Mexico said Janet needs to apologize. And Jasmine says, yeah, we did tell Janet to apologize and she didn't. I mean, listen, you could say whatever you want about Danny, but the facts are the facts. He did not essay Jasmine. He didn't. And even Jasmine came out and said he didn't.
Didn't he have his pants pulled down by somebody?
The first season, Jax came up behind him and pulled his pants down. Jesse, the first season, went up and did a purple nurple thing to Janet. These people are very handsy with each other.
I guess so.
And these people drink with each other constantly and excessively. So again, if Danny's drunk behavior bothers you, probably don't be around him when you're drinking.
Right. And I saw Andy brought up the thing with Zach and the thing where he hit his head, but he kept drinking. But how come nobody's talking about at the reunion Brittany after surgery when you're really not supposed to drink, getting all twisted? What? Why isn't that?
I'm sorry, but we're not gonna question Brittany about going to Mexico with drains.
Right.
You're not supposed to leave your house with drains.
Right, absolutely.
And we're not going to question Brittany for drinking to the point where she couldn't wake up the next day and fell asleep without her thing on. And her friends are like, well, we tried to put it on you, but, basically you were too wasted and we couldn't. And the reason you're still in bed is because you're hungover. We're not going to question Brittany at all about any of this. Here's my thing, though. I think Bravo has protected Jax so much for his behavior over the years. They are going to kiss Brittany's ass and do whatever they can because honestly, she could probably file a lawsuit against them. So they're not going to push Brittany on anything. So Brittany says Nia and Danny are nowhere near me and Jax, and I'm not comparing Danny to Jax, but I understand why Nia is so protective. Okay, so then back off, Brittany. Nia says it's hard to react to that. I love my husband and he does drink too much sometimes, but he is an amazing man and I try to always be there for him. She said we've been together for 13 years and the day-to-day at home, it's not like that. And I believe her. People are acting like Danny is like Jax.
Right, abusive to her all the time.
Yes.
Drinking and hiding alcohol all the time.
Right.
Right. That's how she lives her every week.
I just don't believe it. Danny admits he uses alcohol to cope with stress. Andy asks him what his regrets were for the season. And he says, obviously, the times he mistreated Nia and she is the love of his life. Andy asks, why do you continue drinking if these are consistent moments? And Danny says it's not consistent. He says he has been working with someone who is helping him work on that. Now, here's the thing. We are seeing it as consistent moments.
Absolutely. Because that's what they show on the TV show.
That's what production's choosing to show. This is what production is choosing to do. The producer of this show, I don't even like saying his name, Alex Baskin, he's very friendly with Jax. So, it's not Jax's fault, all this stuff. I know Danny, does try to blame him again. Danny does blame for sure and should stop. But Andy asks if there's anything Danny thinks he's being held to the fire unfairly about, and he says the drinking. He says Jax put a target on his back and called other cast members on the season to carry out the narrative. I personally believe that, but of course, Lala says, when I sit here and listen to you at this moment, you continue to blame other people for your drinking, and this is a real fucking problem, and it's not Jax's fault. And you know what? Listen,
she's right.
She's 100% right.
One thing she's right about there.
She is. Danny says, Lala, I hear you, and it's something I'm taking accountability for and I'm in therapy for. And then Andy brings up Lala saying she hopes Nia leaves Danny. And Lala says, I can't control the audience when Danny says, what you said incited a lot of hate towards her. And it did. Nia says, I think it's very sad that anyone would wish that. And of course, Lala cuts her off and says, if what we watch is a glimpse of what is really going on, then yes, I would wish you were with someone that babies you. Is that what we want? Someone who babies us?
Well, she's saying that because everybody thinks that Nia babies Danny. That's why she's saying that.
Okay. I'm like, I don't want anybody to baby me.
That's why she's saying that.
Okay. And someone who loves you and takes your baby and take your babies and go live a good life. So because Danny drinks too much sometimes, we're just hoping that
Nia should Danny and Nia should get separated. Danny should move out and, then Nia can struggle at home with the 4 kids herself.
That's right.
And okay.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah.
Got it. Kristen says, you've gone too far, Lala. And Nia says, this is not every day, and you don't know because you don't know my life. And Lala says, I'm sorry, I don't know your home life. I only know what I watched on TV. Well, Lala, you've been on reality TV a long time.
Long enough to know that that's not...
You know that this is, what they want us to see. Andy brings up Mexico and Zach hitting his head on the traffic light. And Zach says, I was not letting that ruin my night. Now, had that been Danny, we would not be laughing this off. Like, Zach didn't want a concussion to ruin his night, so he went and got sewed up and went and started drinking again at the club.
Right.
I don't think we'd be so flamboyant.
Andy actually congratulated him on that. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Andy, you can always tell whose side Andy's on. He's not very good at hiding that. Which, I mean, listen, he's the boss, so he could do it.
Right, and he himself has put his ass on television all whacked up, too. So,
and by the way, I have on very good sources. Not now, because he's in a committed relationship, but prior to that, Andy was well known in the WeHo community, the West Hollywood community, gay community, well known. So thankfully at this point, we're moving back onto Michelle and Jesse. It's so funny that somebody wrote that 90% of the reunion was about Danny's drinking, so he must have a problem. And I was like, actually 90% of the reunion, we talked about Michelle and Jesse, right? We talked about Michelle and Jesse way more than we talked about Danny, I felt like. So Andy brings up how Michelle asked Jesse to be mindful about the PDA with Lacy. And she says she asked him for years to be affectionate, and he told her he couldn't, like it just wasn't in him. Jesse says he's more affectionate with Lacy, and Lacy says she wants to validate Michelle's feelings, but we are not like Aaron was last year. So last year when Michelle's boyfriend was on, they were on a trip. And I do remember him saying something like cringy, but I think he said to her, like, I want to love your body or something like that.
Right.
I do remember him. He was pretty cringy, that guy. He really was. And Michelle says affection wasn't Jesse's problem with her. So it's okay. So basically, Michelle's saying, I had a problem with Jesse's lack of affection towards me. Jesse didn't have a problem with my lack of affection towards him. So it's okay that Aaron acted like that with Michelle. It's okay that Michelle and Aaron were affectionate with each other because Jesse didn't care about that in their marriage. Michelle did. So therefore, Jesse and Lacy shouldn't be affectionate. Listen, again, this is a very strange dynamic that they have to film with each other and be on this show together.
Well, so even Lacy said, this is where you're like highly annoying, the two of you, you're tit for tat bullshit.
Yes. Like I get, like, I don't want to ever see anybody get divorced. I mean, obviously, unless there's infidelity or abuse or something like that. But I certainly don't want to see it play out on TV right in front of my eyes because it makes me sad.
Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to watch that.
Want to know what's going on in people's marriages. And now we're going to know everything because now they're getting divorced and they don't give a shit. Jesse said had said that Michelle needed to toughen the F up. And Lacy says he shouldn't have said that. And that they are low-key super annoying with each other. And she's right. Jesse says he doesn't want to separate his feelings for his girlfriend because his ex-wife is there. Anyway. So now Andy asks Janet why she shared with Lala her personal trauma. And she says, Lala is one of my best friends, and we've gotten especially close over the past few years. Now, meanwhile, Janet's talking very low. And she's being very dramatic. And
with the eyes down and the whole thing.
Yeah. We're especially close over the past few years, and she holds me accountable. And it was a piece of my story she was missing and needed to know to continue to be a good friend. I feel like Janet's always reading from a script. Andy says he's very sorry that happened to her, and he asks her how that experience has shaped how she moves in this group. She says she was 12 years old when it happened. Now, I'm just going to say this, and I could be wrong. I could swear when she first said it, she said it happened in high school. But I really, as I was watching it, I'm like, I thought she said it happened in high school. But other people online are saying they thought she said it happened in college. I would imagine that at this point by now, if she had said something different, we would have seen her saying something different. Yeah. So I'm just going to say whatever she's saying. Maybe she's being truthful. It was before she had any experience with boys and men. She says she has had a lot of negative experience with men in her life, and her dad was an addict. All the therapy in the world doesn't change the hair on the back of her neck standing up when she feels that something isn't right, and there are things that happen in this group to make her feel unsafe. So Danny made you feel unsafe, but Jack's throwing his wife into a bush, probably high on cocaine, doesn't make the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
That's why I'm saying, I think that maybe if all that she says is true, then maybe I think that's how messed up that she is that it's just festering and coming out, and it could have been anybody in the group doing one little thing or two little things that set her mind racing, that it was more than it was. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's not that I'm saying he's not fucked up, because he is. But I think she's way more fucked.
So Andy says to Nia, I assume you didn't know this happened to Janet before watching the show. And Nia says it opens up a lot of awareness, and it's heartbreaking. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And I'm sorry that happened to you. Nia says she works with women who are victims to this type of thing, and it's heartbreaking. Andy says Kristen and Jesse were questioning the timing of her bringing this up. And it wasn't just Kristen and Jesse questioning the timing. Let's just put that. And Janet says, well, I expected that, but I actually expected worse. Well, that's an interesting response. Kristen's like, I had no idea what we were talking about. And all I knew was that there was a trauma, but not what it was. Kristen says, you know it happened to me. And of course, I believe you, but it's not my business to ask. Andy asks Jasmine why she thinks Kristen this is something else. Okay. Andy asks Jasmine why she thinks Kristen validates Lala's opinion over hers. And Jasmine says she was blown away when she saw Kristen's reaction. Kristen starts to cry and says, Jasmine didn't want to get vulnerable and kept saying, you're one of my best friends. And Kristen said her anger towards Janet overpowered hearing Jasmine. So, listen, I think Kristen did a lot of apologizing this reunion.
Well, you know what? It was kind of weird, because there were a couple times when she was just totally like, yeah, like I said that, or I lied, and I don't even know why I did it, and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, okay.
And I honestly think all of that comes from her anger towards Janet, because she knows what Janet was doing. She knows that Janet was targeting Danny over and over and over and over again. And then you're watching Brittany, and you're all the while knowing that they all started season 2 out by trying to target these people. And they're still doing it. So I think that that's why Kristen was so angry. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are you doing? Leave these fucking people alone. And I personally think that's where it came from. Jasmine is saying it took a white girl to come in to hear triggers regarding Nia and Danny. Kristen took accountability. She thanked Jasmine for addressing it with her over lunch and not burying it and holding on to resentment. So this is what we like to see, right? Conflict and resolution. I am just going to say this, though. I like seeing Jasmine in a good place with everybody, but Jasmine flip-flops. Lala does not flip-flop. She just doesn't. I don't think her motives are always genuine. I think that she's projecting a lot with this Danny thing because of her own past relationships. So I don't think she's always thinking clearly, Lala. But she doesn't flip-flop, and Jasmine does.
Right. I do see a lot of projecting from the two of them, from Lala and from Janet.
So now we're back at Mexico, and we're back to talking about the drinking. And Andy brings up Kristen throwing Brittany, Jasmine, and Zach under the bus for drinking too much. She says she was...
I don't think she should have apologized for that. I don't understand why she did.
I don't think she should have either. I don't think she should have either, especially because Kristen has had horrible scenes on VPR of her drunk. Like she has done it in the past. She is guilty of it too. So why can't you call out someone's behavior?
Yeah, but
Brittany
why
is
not?
A sloppy drunk. Zach is a clumsy drunk. And Jasmine is I don't want to use the word. I want to not. It's not. She's a confrontational drunk. Like these are your, I can be all three of those things, by the way. So.
Right. Yeah, but I couldn't understand why she was apologizing. I was like, what is going on?
I don't know, because she was absolutely right.
Yeah. I mean, again, why is nobody bringing up other people's bad drunk behavior?
Again, Brittany going to Mexico with the drains on her tits still.
Right. What are you doing?
That's crazy.
Yeah. You must really like to drink.
I know multiple people who have had breast surgery.
No, and it's drains. No joke. It's no joke.
They don't leave their house.
Right.
Never mind go on a drinking vacation in Mexico.
Right.
So Kristen starts to cry. She says she texts them separately. Said she doesn't feel that way about any of them. Yes, you do.
Right.
But yes, you do. Brittany brings up Big Bear when Jax was saying she drank too much. Listen, I didn't agree with that. Like, Jax was a dick in that scene, obviously. He was trying to make it look like Brittany was drunk. Meanwhile, he's the cokehead. It was horrible. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we did see you hungover this season. So why are you hiding it? You're hiding your drinking and you're hiding your hangover. You're doing this very same thing that everybody's accusing Danny of. Andy asks Kristen if she can see why Luke felt pushed away. She says yes, and she had a lot of pent-up emotion from her pregnancy. Andy asks Schwartz if Kristen's relationship with Luke reminds him of her past relationships, and he says he feels like she brings past trauma into this relationship. But we all do. And he called her out for self-sabotaging, and he apologizes, and he says he shouldn't have said that. I love Schwartz. Andy asks if she worries if Luke will leave her.
But she actually did kind of admit that she kind of does do some self-sabotaging. So, again, I don't know why he apologized, because it was... I was like, okay.
Fucking people, man.
I was like, well, all right. Don't know what I'm watching, but okay.
Andy asks Kristen if she worries if Luke will leave her, and Luke says she has brought that up since they started dating, and it's her PTSD from her prior relationships. Listen, we all have our shit. Andy says to Janet, you were insulted by posts that Danny has liked. Like, didn't we go over this already?
Yeah, we did.
He brings up the one with the cucking, and has Danny liked any other posts, and she says she doesn't know because they're blocked. Great. Perfect. Now, Andy says to Danny, you said to Nia she didn't have your back. How would you have wanted her to act? And then they get into the cucking conversation again. Lala says Nia was scared of what Danny would say when she blocked Lala from her. And Nia says she doesn't like the heightened effect of the conversations. And Danny says it was like the third time she approached him that night. And Brittany says, I have to say, I watched it, and Danny, you started it.
But then production shows that Lala comes over to the table and sits down. She can come get her bag. She
first
just
of
sat
all,
down.
we all know Brittany's not the sharpest tool in the shed. Like, these idiots don't realize that there's video.
Right, and production's going to pull it.
Danny didn't start anything. I want to turn the TV off, but I'm like, all right, I only have 15 minutes left, so let me just power. If the same cast comes back next year, though, I don't think I can watch this. I don't think I could watch it.
I'm going to tell you right now, I ain't watching.
So then they start rehashing the Mexico scene, and I kind of zone out because I'm done. Then Lala, this is when I perked back up. Lala says, Danny, I didn't come for you in any sense of the word. I just wanted to have conversations. And he heightened the situations. She's out of her effing mind. She came for him every chance she got. Every chance she got. I mean, I can't believe she even said those words.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, all I'm thinking, then it clicks. I'm like, we only have 15 minutes left of this show, and nobody has brought up the solo cup being thrown at Danny's head yet. And I'm thinking in my head, if this doesn't come up, I am going to have a very strongly worded message for Andy Cohen.
Right. But now, can you imagine if Danny threw it at her?
Oh my God, this is what I'm saying.
What if Danny said to Nia, I think Luke's really hot. I think he would just be my hall pass.
Exactly.
How?
We're not making a big deal about Janet over-sexualizing Michelle every chance she gets. Completely inappropriate. If someone did that to me, a friend, female or male, it would make me feel extremely uncomfortable. It would not make me feel, if this were like a true friend,
what if I came over and all the time said, damn, Kel, those boobs.
Exactly.
Looking large in that shirt. Looking curvy, girl.
It would make me feel very uncomfortable because you are my good friend.
Right.
And listen, I'm not offended by anything.
Right.
It wouldn't offend me. It would just make me feel very uncomfortable. You're my good friend. We travel together. We do a lot of things together. It would make me very uncomfortable. But nobody's saying anything about that. This is wild to me. Because he's a man, he's just a piece of shit. This is where we're at on this show.
Well, it's just sad because, like I said, there's a lot of projection from Lala. And from Janet. And that's sad. And I feel bad for both of them that they're at that point in their life where whatever has happened to them, that they're at that point with
like
the
their therapy is not helping.
Obviously not.
So Andy asks Jasmine and Michelle if they're okay. And Michelle's like, well, I don't know. I get mixed reactions. And then Zach brings up that Michelle didn't go to the wedding. And I told you Michelle was in New York City and Jasmine got married in North Jersey. So Michelle was in New York City that weekend. Right, so it is kind of weird that she didn't go to the wedding. But she said, she said to Jasmine, I get the feeling that you don't like me. So why would I go to your wedding? Like, this is the most beautiful day of your life. And she's right. I mean, she's right.
Right. Absolutely.
Andy calls Jesse out for the way he approached Michelle about dating the comedian. That was like way out of left field in the last episode. And he said he and Jasmine had a longer conversation about Isabella, solely based on Isabella, that we didn't get to see. And then Jesse said that Isabella had told him that Max bought her a smoothie. So he was that's why he was calling BS on Michelle's story that Isabella only met the gentleman at a real estate showing. And of course, Lala has to insert herself here and say they were talking about Aaron. Because then he brings up Aaron and how close Isabella was with Aaron. And Michelle and Isabella, I believe, lived in Aaron's house for a while. Yeah. And then he kicked them out. Yeah. So then we move on to the comment that Kristen said Nia guilt trips Zach. And then Andy asks Danny if that was the first time he has ever had a drink thrown at him at Brittany's party. And he says yes. And then Andy asks the most ridiculous question in the world. Who here thinks Janet crossed the line by throwing the drink on Danny? By the way, if you don't think she crossed a line, you shouldn't be so offended by some of the things Danny's getting dragged for. If you think throwing wine on someone and a Solo cup at their head, I know a Solo cup doesn't fucking hurt. I know that. But it's such a level of disrespect. If you think that's okay behavior, you should not be offended by half the shit Danny has done.
There you go.
Right?
Right.
So the only two people who don't raise their hand are Janet, Jason, and Brittany. And Janet says, I wish I didn't do it because he was already making a fool out of himself. No, he wasn't. You did it because he wasn't making a fool out of himself. You did it because you wanted to trigger him. You wanted to get him riled up. You wanted him to do something inappropriate or say something inappropriate. And guess what? He didn't do it.
Well, that's why you went in the room.
Yep. Yep.
He was laying down. Why'd you go in?
Yep. And he did it. He didn't react to you at all. And that frustrated you. And that's why you threw the cup, because you figured this will get it. This will get the reaction. Danny admits he was drunk that night and that he was just apologizing to Lala. Nia says in the moment Lala and Janet were who she was referring to about being terrible people.
Terrible people.
And
she's
Brittany
allowed
says you
to say
said it.
that because there were times when they were acting terribly. And that's what she should have said, is that, I don't necessarily think you're terrible people, but I think you were certainly acting terrible. So I said terrible people. I don't think she should have apologized either.
Well, I think she was apologizing for a reason. I think she was apologizing for making a general statement because she doesn't like the fact that her husband has had isolated incidents where he's been drunk and acted inappropriate, and now there's a generalization that he has a drinking problem and he drinks too much every time and he's inappropriate every time and he makes everybody feel uncomfortable. I think that's why she was so specific about not wanting to generalize. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Lala says she doesn't like being lumped into that. Well, Lala, again, unless this is just what production showed us, we saw you going for Danny every chance you got. Literally, you couldn't talk about anything else but Danny the whole season. Nia says she regrets putting this label on them. She doesn't like that she used it as a general term. Andy asks, this I thought was very interesting. Andy asks Danny and Nia where they go from here, because he's insinuating that they have issues with everyone on the cast. They don't. It's Jason, Janet, Lala, and whatever way the wind's blowing that day, maybe
for
Brittany.
Jasmine. Yeah, and for Jasmine, whatever way.
Yeah, listen, I think Jasmine's going to be cool with everybody because I think Jasmine wants to stay on this show. And she doesn't. She and Zach are like peripheral castmates. So I think that she and Zach are just going to be cool with everybody. I mean, Zach, they both kind of insert themselves in places, but I think they're just going to chill. But I didn't like that Andy insinuated that Danny and Nia, they're cool with Jesse and Lacy. They're obviously cool with Kristen and Luke. They're cool with Zach. They're cool with Schwartz. They're cool with Jasmine.
Right.
The rest of them suck,
people,
basically.
Right.
Andy wants to end on a happy note. He asks Jasmine how the wedding was. She says it was the most incredible day of her life. And the Knicks won. I didn't realize. So her wedding was the night of the NBA. The final game, the game where the Knicks won. It wasn't it didn't go 7 games, but how amazing. Janet and Jasmine's friendship is in a much better place. Jasmine and Michelle are starting to make appointments for a donor. Not Michelle. Jasmine and Melissa are starting to make appointments for a donor for a baby. And then Melissa and Benji bring out champagne and they toast to Melissa and Jasmine. Jesse gives a toast, which was very sweet. Mm-hmm. And then, thank God it's over.
Thank God it's over. Enough.
Like, seriously, I can't. My God.
Yeah, and I had watched OC first and then that. So by the time it was over, I was like, oh my God, I can't.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we go next season. And it's a shame because I really do like this show. So listen, my hope is that the Capernas and the Bookos can move past whatever they have going on.
Yeah, and they can get
because I don't want to see anybody leave. I mean, I don't like Janet, obviously, but I would like for them to come back next season and let's focus on something else. Like Danny, don't drink. Danny just shouldn't drink because listen, don't give them anything. Because here's the thing: if he doesn't drink and they still keep coming at him, like
then you know for sure.
Yeah. So Danny, just don't drink.
Next season, let's focus on Janet getting herself better.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Well, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it because I don't I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
I'll say it when we're off camera. All right, we're approaching 50 minutes.
Yeah,
Thank you for watching and listening. And if you would, please go to our YouTube and subscribe and go to our socials, TikTok, Facebook, Insta, and follow and comment because we love the engagement. Even if we disagree, we're fine.
Yes. You can even call us horrible, horrible names because
I don't care.
Do. Some do. Go ahead.
We're good for it. We're over it.
Rage text away. I think it's funny.
Yeah, Lori's over the rage. Bring it.
Yeah, bring it. I think it's hysterical.
I love that.
That anybody's
Karen.
that right.
It's a TV show.
Yeah. That if anybody's that bothered, just to me, it's bizarre. Like you okay.
Wild.
All right.
I mean,
night.
I clearly get jacked up, but
no, but you're not on somebody's page saying nasty
no
things.
No, like I was just gonna say something about Janet, that actually somebody on another podcast said, but it does have something to do with her physical appearance, and I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that person.
The dress did not look good. Let's move on.
I don't
think the dress looked good on her. I think she's a very pretty girl, but I didn't like her dress on her. I didn't think it was
I think she's a very pretty girl. I think that whatever she's doing, she might be going a little overboard and she's looking very thin. And I think that dress is meant for someone who's more curvy.
Right. It just didn't look.
If she weren't going to the extreme with whatever she's doing, she would still be curvy and the dress would have maybe complemented her.
But this is why I said maybe next season, focus on Janet getting better. Because whatever she's got going on, whatever reason why she's so triggered and projecting and, just if you spend a lot of time looking at what someone else says, does, how someone else behaves, then you don't have to look at yourself in the mirror. And I'm not saying look at yourself in the mirror because you're doing something, just that you don't have to look at all. And somebody who is going through something, mentally and emotionally often doesn't want to do that. So
no, I totally
I wish her the best is what I do.
Me too.
Because there's a reason why people act like they don't like it, their behavior is not making sense. And that can all totally be from trauma. So I don't know.
It could also be from a lifetime of wanting to be a reality TV star.
It could be that too. And it could be a vicious combination of the both.
It could be a vicious combination of the both. You're right.
There you go.
You're
right. All right, but enough because I can't take it anymore.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.